Hey guys, how are you? This is Eric Bramlett with Bramlett Partners, and today we are here to discuss the January 2025 Austin Metro real estate statistics. But first, man, how about that weather last week in town? It felt like spring was here, almost summer. I hope that you guys were able to get outside if you're in Austin. If you're not in Austin, I hope that you also had some amazing weather. Before we get started, I want to invite anyone who would like to discuss their particular situation to reach out to me or reach out to the firm. We love chatting with buyers and sellers and helping you strategize your specific situation. Also love chatting with real estate professionals to talk about business strategy. I want to start with a quote from a friend of mine who says, the question that you should ask is, no matter what the market conditions are, what can I do to be successful? And Mike really just nails it, hits it on the head right here. It is very important for us to stay abreast of the market, but we can't control the market. We can only control how we react to it. So the most important question anyone should ask themselves is, what will I do this year to make sure that I'm successful? With that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. The stats in January 2025 look pretty good. The first thing that we like to look at the total sales, and we like to look at pricing. So total sales ticked up by 2.4% in the month of January. That's versus January 2024. And the question that most buyers and sellers always have is, should I sell right now based on pricing? And is it a safe investment to buy real estate in the metro right now? And the answer is yes, it's a safe investment. The word continues to be stable. The market has been stable now for more than 18 months with regard to pricing. If you're a seller, the pricing did tick down just a little bit versus January 2024, but you could call that a rounding error. We also expect the market to go into its high seasonal demand period in the coming months. That would be March, April, May. So it's an excellent time. If you do need to sell anytime in the next 12 months, this is probably the best time to go ahead and prepare your property to get on the market in the spring of 2025. The total volume sold increased with the increase in total sales. So just barely ticked up versus the previous year, the 1.25% increase in total volume sold. After we look at total sales and price trends, we then move on to under contract, pending, and new listings. Why do we look to new listings? Well, new listings are the earliest indication of demand. Most sellers who are selling their property are going to buy another property. They still need a place to live. Most sellers who sell in the Austin Metro are buying back into that market, especially right now with the tech hiring freeze. We aren't seeing a lot of movement due to jobs. So new listings increased dramatically with a 20% increase in total new listings on the market in 2025 versus 2024. Under contract and pending units didn't go the direction that we hoped they would go, with a 12% drop versus the previous year. A couple of things you want to look at this time of the year. The first you want to look at is that January is one of the lowest volume months when it comes to pending units. The peak months are March through May. So while the numbers don't look great for the month of January, that's not going to define the story this spring. We don't yet know what the spring will look like. We're hopeful that mortgage rates will come down just a little bit to give us a bit of a boost, but we'll watch those numbers pretty closely and just understand that January is a low volume month. So while the numbers didn't go in our favor, it doesn't mean that we are going to have a slower year in 2025. The second thing we want to look at is average list price. So we have a number of sellers hitting the market, 20% more sellers hitting the market this January versus the previous year. How are they pricing their homes? Well, we just looked at sold numbers, and sold numbers are relatively flat. The sellers are a bit optimistic. So the average list price in January 25 is up almost 5% versus January 24. So for that very early demand to actually turn into sales, we need one of two things to happen, hopefully both. If sellers do come down and meet the buyers where the buyers need to be in order to afford these properties, we will see more units sold. If mortgage rates come down, then that increases affordability and we will see more units sold. So we don't have any control over that. We are just looking at the earliest components of demand and making a prediction about what will happen in the market, and hopefully that will be positive. More leading indicators. So this is mortgage rates over the previous 12 months. If everybody remembers back to the fall, we had a bit of a bump in the fall, and it's easy to see why. Mortgage rates dropped down almost to 6%. That will affect the market very directly, and we did see more buyers get off of the fence in the fall, which is not the time of the year that we generally see buyers get off of the fence. Since then, rates have moved back up, and with the exception of one day, we've seen rates with a 7 handle every day this year. We're very hopeful that rates will come down a bit. If rates do drop back into the 6s, and if they drop back to the mid 6s, that affordability component will really come into play, and we will see more properties sold in 2025. Jobs, this is the second component that we need to see improve. The tech hiring freeze continues. We're almost to the 3rd year of the tech hiring freeze. The normal component of people moving to Austin in order to get new good jobs just hasn't been the case for the past 3 years, and that's really affected the market. This shows you the number of Indeed job postings for the previous 12 months, or actually the previous 13 months. Looks good when you look at it on a month-over-month basis, but it's important to understand that jobs are also seasonal. So we don't see as much hiring near the holidays, and then we see companies start gearing back up to hire again whenever the new year rolls around. We want to look at year-over-year change. And when we look at year-over-year change, the numbers are not awful, but they're not as rosy as they are if we're just looking at month-over-month. We saw an 18% decline in Indeed.com job postings from January 25 versus January 24. We just need to see this reverse, and I'm not sure when that will happen, but we're monitoring anecdotal evidence, and we're listening to our friends in the commercial office space, and we're listening to our friends in the midterm leasing space, and we're listening to our friends who are recruiters, and we're very hopeful that tech will start hiring again sometime in 2025. I will bookend this with Mike's awesome quote of the question to ask is, no matter what the market conditions are, what can I do to be successful? And that really is the question that everyone needs to ask themselves. If you're a buyer or a seller, how will you put together a strategy that will make sure that you see success this year? If you're a real estate professional, what are you going to do to make sure that you're successful in any market conditions? I'd love to chat with you about that. So if you'd like to reach out to talk about your specific situation, please reach out to me, either someone in the firm, or I will talk with you about that. And at a very bare minimum, hopefully we'll have a great conversation. If there's anything I do for anybody, please reach out. And I hope that y'all have an amazing week and an amazing February. I'm Eric Bramlett with Bramlett Partners, and thank you so much for listening.